What's up everybody, Grant here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a camera comparison video between the Huawei Mate 8 and the Huawei Mate 9. The Mate 8 was released a year ago while the Mate 9 was just released here in the US in January of 2017. We'll be doing a camera comparison of both the front and rear cameras, still photos and video. This is coming to you from the front facing camera. Both are capable of recording at 1080p at 30 frames per second. They both have video stabilization. So let me know what you think of the video and audio quality here. For the audio and the videos, I'll try to be switching back and forth between the two, so pay attention to the audio icon so you know which source is producing the audio at all times. It's a beautiful day here in Northern California, slight chill in the air. But let's get to the photos and video. Here's a quick reminder of the specs we're working with on each camera, and as a disclaimer, all photos and videos were taken in auto mode. Photos were taken at the highest setting on each camera, so 20 megapixels on the Mate 9 and 16 megapixels on the Mate 8. On with the show. So here we are outdoors recording at 1080p at 30 frames per second from the rear facing camera on each device. We'll pan around here a bit. And we'll start some walking so you can see the stabilization at 1080p at 30 frames per second. They're both on a camera mount here, so it's equal. You can take a look at how stable the video looks, what the audio quality sounds like. It's a beautiful day here in Northern California. Sun's out. Maybe you can hear that bird chirping over there. Planes overhead. We'll do a little bit of running here. So that was a video sample at 30 frames per second from each camera. So here we are back again recording with the rear facing camera, this time at 1080p, 60 frames per second on each device. We'll pan around just like we did last time. You can see the sunny skies here. It's a beautiful day. We'll do a bit of walking so you can see the stabilization at 60 frames per second compared to 30 frames per second from the previous video. Check out the audio quality, see if it sounds the same or not. We'll do a little bit of running here so you can gauge the stabilization, a little bit more activity at 60 frames per second. So there you go. That's a quick sample at 1080p, 60 frames per second from each device. Okay, so here we are at a still position from each device. I've got the Mate 9 recording at 4K, that's its highest resolution. The Mate 8 only goes up to 1080p, 60 frames per second. I've got it at 30 frames per second here. So this will probably be downsampled to 1080p once it hits YouTube, but you can try to gauge the overall quality between 4K on the Mate 9 as well as the 1080p on the Mate 8. We'll try to do some panning and zooming. There's a lot of obviously street noise here you can see, so you can gauge the audio quality of each camera, the sound of my voice against the car noises here from the street. We'll try to test the zoom on each. So that's max zoom on the Mate 9. There's max zoom on the Mate 8. Check out the stabilization when it's already zoomed in. Seems a bit shaky on camera through the viewfinder here, but you take a look and you let me know. Zoom back out. Zoom back out on the Mate 8. So there you go. Just a quick standing video sample at the highest resolution from each camera. 4K in the Mate 9, 1080p in the Mate 8. Let me know what you guys think. Okay, and we're back, and this time we're doing a low light camera test on the rear facing camera. This is being shot at 1080p, 30 frames per second, because that is where it has the stabilization kicked in. So I want to see if we can get some nice, crisp, stable video. The Mate 8 and Mate 9 do not stabilize after 30 frames, so therefore no stabilization is happening at 1080p, 60 frames per second, or 4K on the Mate 9. The Mate 8 does not have 4K recording. So we'll start walking here. This is just after sunset here in California. You can see it right there, setting over the buildings there. Just going on a quick walk with the dog. There she is in almost darkness there, so we'll see how the cameras handle that. So this is an extreme low light scenario here. We've got 0 lights in the park. The only lights that we've got is coming off of the buildings there, as well as some of these street lights here. So we'll aim it at a street light. We'll see how it focuses in, any kind of flare there that we get. And we'll turn the corner around out of the park, and we'll just start walking down the street a little bit, where there's a little bit more light here, so you can kind of see the difference between some extreme darkness and some basic lighting coming in from the street lamps on the sidewalk. So let me know what you think about this low light video here on the rear facing camera of both the Mate 8 and Mate 9 being shot at 1080p, 30 frames per second. Hey everyone, and we're back here with a front facing camera test in low light with the Mate 8 and Mate 9. This is being shot at 1080p, 30 frames per second with stabilization turned on the front camera. So this is the first scene that we had at the beginning of the video. It's now just after sunset here in Northern California. So maybe you can see some of that in the background. But this is a low light sample test of the front facing camera on the Mate 8, Mate 9. Let me know how this looks. Right now the Mate 9 looks a lot better. The Mate 8 is looking pretty dark here, but we'll see once we get it off the camera, load it up and onto YouTube. But right now, initial impressions, the Mate 9 is significantly better in low light here. The Mate 8 definitely looks pretty dark. Let me know what you think. Do a little bit of panning, get some additional light in here. But just want to do a quick sample for you of the front facing cameras in low light on both the Mate 8 and the Mate 9. Let me know what you think. Now for a quick summary of what I think about these cameras. I'll preface this by saying I am not a camera expert. These are just my opinions after using the cameras and looking at the photos and videos on my desktop computer, so I apologize if I mess up any terminology. That being said, let's start with the front facing cameras. I think daytime video looks pretty comparable, while audio is louder and richer on the Mate 9, although the Mate 8 seems to do a better job at suppressing background noise. In low light, the Mate 9 shows a brighter picture, but the Mate 8, while being darker, looks more color accurate. I had some audio sync issues for some reason with this clip on the Mate 8, which could be due to running the EMUI 5 beta software. Overall, the Mate 9 slightly edges out the Mate 8 due to the clearer, sharper low light performance, despite being less color accurate, along with louder, richer audio quality. Moving on to quality of the front facing camera, and again in daylight they are fairly comparable, both looking pretty good. The Mate 9's white balance seems to be a bit aggressive, while the Mate 8 is a bit more even and preserves more details in the background. In low light, the Mate 9 looks to try to brighten up the photo more, and therefore looks less natural, while the Mate 8 is darker, but you're still able to clearly see the subject. Overall, I like the Mate 8 front-facing camera for photos a bit more. Looking at the rear-facing video, the Mate 9 looks to show more detail, having slightly more natural colors, and slightly better video stabilization. Again, the Mate 9 has louder and richer audio quality, but the Mate 8 appears to suppress background audio a bit more. In low light, again, the front-facing cameras, the Mate 8 is darker, but not too dark where you're unable to see the subject. The Mate 9 looks to brighten the video and therefore a bit overexpose the picture to produce more unnatural and grainier video than it otherwise needs to be. Overall, I like the Mate 9 in daylight video, and surprisingly, I like the Mate 8 in low light better, as the Mate 9 doesn't appear to be any sharper in low light, and the Mate 8 looks more natural in color. As for rear-facing photos, the Mate 9 seems to have better dynamic range and produces more detail, leading to better overall quality photos. However, the Mate 9's white balance can be too aggressive, leading to some blown out details like the sky in brightly lit situations. In low light, the Mate 9 produces brighter photos, but because of that seems to blow out some of the details of objects directly under those lights, while the Mate 8 is able to maintain more of that detail. That being said, for me, the Mate 9 wins in rear camera photos in all lighting conditions, as the photos overall appear nicer to my eyes. Overall, I think the Mate 9 is a better camera, producing sharper images and video, but I was surprised to see how well the Mate 8 holds its own, especially in low light, where at times the Mate 8 produces more color accurate photos and video. So that's what I think, but I'm more interested to hear what you think, so please leave a comment with your thoughts on the Mate 8 and Mate 9 photo and video quality. Let's try to have a productive conversation in the comment section. If any of you have any other questions or want to see more camera comparisons like this, then drop a comment to let me know. And as always, thanks for watching.